Hey there, Chloe here, your podcast co-host. We get asked all the time what we do to take care of ourselves. So we decided to gather the top 5 self-care tips and techniques we use on the daily and gift them to you for free. We're calling it the ultimate self-care bundle to clear your energy, boost your vitality, and feed your soul. We'll share the golden rule to health, well-being, and happiness no one should live without. A delicious energetic detox bath recipe that both relaxes and clears energetic invasions at the same time. A quick immune boost we swear by, and 2 other goodies that will support you when you need it the most. So if you're feeling drained, out of sync, or just need a little or big reset, go to lachiaramethod.com/podcast-bundle to claim your free gift. That link will also be in the show notes. We hope these tools bring you as much support as they brought to our lives. Now let's get on with the show. Welcome to the Activate Change podcast, where transformation is just a conversation away. Some episodes of this podcast offer an intimate front row seat to an authentic and unscripted personal healing session with renowned healer and creator of the LaChiara method, Gabrielli LaChiara. Our incredibly generous and courageous guests explore their genuine struggles, longings, and deepest desires in these sessions. And we, as listeners, have the honor and privilege to witness their sacred and profound healing journeys. As you listen, we invite you to receive as well, feeling into where the healing and insights that transpire might spark transformation in your own life. And stay tuned until the end because I, Chloe Faith Urban, will discuss the session and share a skill or framework that Gabrielli used, which you can apply to your own personal healing. And because of the LaChiara method's deep commitment to collaboration and perpetual learning, some episodes will highlight conversations with other thought leaders, healers, and activists on the path to bring healing, liberation, and true equality to the world. This podcast does contain adult language and content, so if you have little ones around you, you may want to use headphones. In this episode, Gabrielli has a session with Angélica, a social justice educator and mother who's struggling to hold the weight of the world. Together, they explore what it takes for Angélica to take care of herself when she's holding so many other people, responsibilities, and the immense grief that arises when she realizes that no matter how much time or energy she gives to others, it's never going to be enough to address all the suffering in the world. Angélica has had LaChiara Method sessions in the past and is a certified LaChiara Method radical life coach. Let's dive in. Hello, Angélica. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Gabrielli. Thank you for having me. I feel so honored to be here.
I'm so happy to be with you and feeling really the privilege and honor it is of mine to journey with you today. So
Thank you.
I'm feeling an urge to just land us with an invocation and some closing up of the outside worlds, inside worlds that don't belong in here. And you can be as you wish during that. If it's helpful, those longer exhales than inhales can situate you in present time, like really help your nervous system to find, where you are in your own intentions. And it's really not required, but I'll do a few of those with my invocation here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Thank you. Let's invoke that we've created this time, this space, this moment in time for you. For your body, your being, your soul, your spirit, your divine essence as a human on this earth. And that we are entering this space with clear intention to support your own process, your healing, and your journey. And that I am completely willing to show up, feel, be, and see what I have to offer in facilitation of your process or witness. And let's close up any circuits, pull down the window shades, shut the curtains on anything not required or generative for either of us in this space. And activate change and generate healing immediately. I'm curious how I can be with you today. How can I help?
That was helpful just to land, and I love the visual of the closing the shades. That I'm a visual person, so when you said it, it actually really helped.
Right?
To really close circuits of everything.
I know that feeling too. We can really see it. It's like, right, we can just tuck it in for the moment.
Yeah, I almost stood up and closed my shades in my room. I was like, oh, it's already closed. And yes, you're talking about my circuits. That's right.
Great.
Well, I'm just feeling I think I would like to have some support around the capacity to hold everything that I am called to hold. My family. I know that's my calling, to be the mom that I am at the highest possible level, to be present, to be loving, to be supportive. I know whenever possible, right? That's a calling for myself as well. But as a mother, it's always my intention to be there as much as possible. And then holding all the responsibilities and expectations and calling in my position at my job.
Right.
So, which is a big calling, to be there for colleagues, students, for the job that I've been called for, to hold spaces around diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, justice, and all the things at this present moment and in this time in history. There's a lot going on, and so being present for that calling, and then just the healing of people that I love, people in my circle, people in my community, in my immediate family, extended family. So that is I feel my highest calling, and it intersects so much with motherhood, with my advocacy and occupation. So healing, really, I think about the healing of our hearts and our spirits and our souls and our minds, my own healing, and the healing of the people that I'm connected to. So, and so I think about that in our work as energy practitioners, as energy healers, as energy beings. How can I be present for my own healing and also for the healing of so many people that I love and adore and admire and care for? So, so that's not a big thing.
It's not a big thing at all. I mean, it's so much bigger than big. Yes. I'm deeply, deeply appreciative that you're asking for this. Like, in the stir in me as I'm listening, I feel
how important it is at this time that we include ourselves in healing and as the healers for others. It seems like we can't ignore and neglect the one, the facilitator, the helper, the change agent, the mother, the friend, the ally, the partner, whoever we are, the professional. It feels to me like it's part of healing the schism of othering and the way there's this idea that, we selflessly give to other, but then we hurt ourselves. And to me, that keeps a divide. It dehumanizes ourselves on behalf of other. And I don't know, I'm just feeling deep in my bones that in order for this healing that I imagine on the earth and for the rehumanizing and caring of society and all humans with equity and inclusion, we can no longer leave ourselves out, or we're doing the very same thing that we're trying to stop.
Yes. And that really, really moved me, and that resonated so deeply when you said that, because it's such a great reminder, those moments when I remember that and my healing comes first. It just speaks to me so deeply, because I know from such a deep place that when I am willing and able to take that time to really sit with myself, with my own healing, the work that I'm doing in the world and my family and my community is so much more aligned, because it's moving through me,
Right.
and not disconnected. You talked about the schism. That makes so much sense, because when we're, trying to heal or attempting to heal and hold spaces for healing for others without including ourselves, it's not possible.
Right.
So thank you. Thank you for
Right.
recognizing that and reminding me, as your words just really spoke life about that into me.
Yeah, and in one of the frameworks that I'm always teasing apart, and I know that we've spoken about this framework before, is how the oppression in society and culture and people, oppression and trauma, both have the tendency to create a symptom of either or. And we're looking at the very same symptom of either or when we suggest to ourselves, and I've done it a million times and I still work on it. I will probably work on it for my whole life, how to include myself just a tiny bit more. Where am I just abandoning my needs because the needs of others seem so huge and are so huge? They just are. And how to reckon that, and to know my place and how much my giving, what's required, what's not required, what's not even mine to do. So this discernment of how we show up requires a bunch of things. One is the self-attunement, how do I come back to myself and check in? How do I reset and restore? But it also includes having others, right? Because we need to know and see in our own eyes and our own visions and our own realities that when we are done doing what our work is, somebody else steps in. And that when it's their time to rest, we show up. And if there's enough of us, there's enough time for all of that.
And I think about my work, when I think about revolutionary love, when I think about really filling your own cup, and, that's something we talk about, but really I think about that oxygen mask. We've talked about that, and really that inner landscape, that grounding ourselves, that the work, and the love exudes from a deep place, also, in our resources that surround us, but also it comes from within.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah. Angélica, I'm going to jump on this feeling and interrupt your thought just a second to grab it while it's here, because I want to make sure we attend to it. If that's okay, can I?
yes.
Yeah. I just heard the truth. A truth, or what I usually say is like, I heard something that's true, because in this moment it feels so true. We really can never be enough. We can't. There's no one human that can ever be enough. And what a reconciliation for someone like you to recognize how much you're capable of and can do personally and professionally, how powerful you are, and how much power you have earned really in your work and in your positions in life, and to reckon with the fact that no matter how well we do it, no matter how much we say yes and show up, we will never as a one person be enough. And there's a grief that's just real, and a vulnerability in being a healer on this earth. That's true. We can't do it. We can never be enough.
Wow. That really is moving, and to hear it, it's like, I know there's truth in that. It's like, yes, of course we can, because we're
finite.
That's something I'm, realizing that my spirit says yes to everything, because my spirit is like, yes, I want to show up for my healing, everyone's healing. And then I think the grief and the realization that my body can only do so much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I sometimes, fool myself and say, like, if you don't sleep, you could actually show up for this mission that you're being called for. And it's like, wait, I can't not sleep though. I need to rest and restore. And this is the perfect timing that this is coming up, because
right, because we're earth bodies. We're earth bodies, and what we are also immense spirits, and you know this so deep in your soul. You know the realm of spirit and energy and beingness and divinity, and like the essence of you is always more than enough. Always. There's nothing about that is finite in our beingness, right? The energy of who we are can emanate and exist long before and after us and forever, eternally. And yet the work is to understand the body, the earth, the human, and to merge those together, and to be respectful of the limitations of a physical form, so that we have as much time as possible, as healthy as possible on earth, to give the spirit in. And you're delivering spirit. You are delivering spirit forces. You're delivering consciousness. Love is consciousness. It's like faith. It's forever. And I know, and I feel, and I know this in me. It's like we're here to distill that and deliver it and give it evidence in human that it exists. And so, yes, of course we don't want to sleep. I know that feeling. I'm like, okay, I just want to keep going. How can I say no? It's how can I say no if it feels this important? Yeah.
I'd love to, you said something about the grief, and I'd love to just sit with that, because I think when you said it, it just allowed, just even you saying the word, it just allowed me to feel, because I think that's something that I don't always allow myself to do, is just to feel the grief of something, of everything, the grief of maybe my, children growing up, the grief of not being able to say yes to everything that I want to say yes to.
Right, and our limitations, our finiteness. Please.
The grief of being away from my family, right? Most of my family is in California, and I'm here on the East Coast. And so I'm thinking about the important work I'm doing here. I'm thinking, like, how important is it? Do I need to be with my mom who's aging? And, and I want to be there. And there's so much grief. And I just sometimes, it's like, I don't have time to feel it all because I have work to do. And I know that that's resonates for a lot of my clients, the people that are doing this healing work. It's so important for us to feel, the grief in every moment of the things that we're experiencing. But and I see it for the people that don't have time. I see the way that it's, and in myself, the way that it affects me when I don't take the time to grieve, to cry, to feel. And so I just wanted to sit with that when you said it. It just was, I felt like it was powerful to name.
Yeah. Thank you. Go ahead and breathe that all the way in. Bring that beautiful attention of your own mind's eye into the wisdom of your body. And let's exhale into the grief. Never being enough. Can't do it all. Being on a mission that's so huge, way bigger than us. Having so much to give and so many longings and cravings in a finite form. And just the grief of suffering. Yeah, drop in a little more. I'm seeing a pocket. If you could bring your mind's eye possibly down your inside part of your spine, as if you could just gently walk down the inner part of the spine. And somewhere right behind your belly button, almost like behind your uterus, is actually where it feels to me, that area. See if you can sit. Often it is where we talk inner landscape, we might start you right there. What is the grief in here? Good. Good. And exhale a nice long exhale so that your body knows that you get to rest into this. Resting in. Good. Long and full. Yeah.
Feeling the womb. It's just interesting that you brought me there because even from the beginning of my work with you, thinking about the healing of my womb space.
Right. Creation. Yeah. What does your womb say right now about the grieving, about the being you?
My connection just I think my inner child. Womanhood. Motherhood.
I'm seeing faces, like every face of who you've been, why you're here. Every face your womb says, I'm holding all of this. All of these versions of how I love. And every one of them is a version of how you express and lean into love. Wow. Oh, and how I'm feeling the pain of how tender it is for no matter how much I humanly love and try my best to give it from the most divine places, it in of itself won't ever be enough by itself either. No matter how grand, no matter how beautiful or potent. Yeah. And it's always more than enough. And activate change and generate healing immediately. Who are you grieving? Is there a version of you?
Yeah, I what comes to me is my innocence, my childhood, my inner child. That freedom to be, to speak, to run, to play, to be my full authentic self, myself that can laugh and doesn't have any adult responsibilities. That,
Love it. Yeah. And how do we mature that innocence so that we can refine and feel for every moment possible for that level of freedom and release and connection, and where in any one moment we could be plenty, more than enough, satisfy that urge for connection and freedom and lightness and release, and still hold the maturity of the bigger picture, of the more existential grief of the reality. Can we merge those? That innocence doesn't have to be delusional, right? Or distorted, but can maintain as an invitation in reality and a receptive moment at any given time to receive.
and I love that knowing that the ability and the permission, I guess, to connect to my innocence, my childhood, my inner child, my right there. I feel like the many lifetimes I've lived already.
Right?
And the
Right.
ability to also be who I am in my fullness now, right? Like I've journeyed and am in a place where my wisdom, my learning, my knowing, my knowledge, my connections, right? My children that I've raised.
Right.
There's a respect for where I am now, but not losing touch and connection with who I am in my soul speak.
Yeah. Yeah,
all the
let's sit
parts
there.
of who I am.
Right, let's sit there. What does it take to receive the wholeness, the whole thing? To not just be one part of you at any given moment, which we all do, but in this moment, I feel you resting in, and like you get to have it all. Angélica, all of this is true. The grief, the joy, the innocence, the different versions of the child, both probably injured and also excelling and like shining, and the efforts and the parenting done and that will still be done, and all the efforts and education and academics and experiences and love and divinity and essence and truth and agitation and annoyance and hopelessness and helplessness and absolute faith. You're every bit of this. You are human and divine and everything in between. And clearing anything that would block you from allowing this moment to integrate all of that again and anew. And activate change and generate healing immediately.
I wanted to take a quick minute out of this session and tell you about a course we have coming up. And definitely listen up, because it's the last week to register. Imagine waking up every day feeling more vibrantly you, deeply understood and supported, and equipped with tools to help when things get rocky. Not just surviving your days, but truly thriving. That vision is not just a dream, it's within your reach. Our From Surviving to Thriving 10-week course teaches you everything you need to uplevel your life and your relationships. Over 10 weeks, you'll be with us in an intimate, mutually supportive, sacred learning space with a community that sees and supports you. And the best part? After completing the course, you'll gain lifetime access to our community of peer-to-peer coaches. You'll also be able to join us any other time we ever do the course. Think of it as the gift that keeps on giving. Free support whenever you need it. We're committed to making this transformative journey as accessible as possible, so we're offering flexible payment options. Plus, if you want to get certified in the LaChiara method as a radical life coach, you can take From Surviving to Thriving and bundle it with our Level 2 certification program and save an additional 10% off. Simply use the code BUNDLE at checkout. For more information on the course, you can go to lachiaramethod.com/thrive. And I will also make sure that link is in the show notes. We so hope you'll join us. Okay, back to the session.
This is perfect. This is like perfect timing, because I have this, I feel like there's this calling, this, I don't know, I guess the way that the language is coming out is this bigger calling. And I've been, this is perfect that you are the one here with me right now, Gabrielli, in all your knowing and wisdom and power and just divine goddess being, because there's this like calling for me to be big in the world, like to show up in these big ways, and it's really scary because my inner child has been wounded and is really scared, and this is reminding me to just be with her, to just be with her, just sit with her, and to breathe with her.
She's not wrong to be scared.
No.
This is a terrifying place to live sometimes. Maybe somewhere in us all the time. And our inner child children, like they inside of us deserve airtime and room to kick and scream and freak out and try to stop us from doing things that could hurt them.
And I think I just want to name like sexual wounding. And how that affects us as women, as girls.
Yeah.
And just naming what's present. And because we can't help but be connected to these women who are, we're connected to each other. We are all one.
Yeah.
And so when we see these stories and we hear them,
Right.
can't just, shut our phone and it's just a news article. It's like I feel them.
Yeah, we feel them. Their imprint lives in us. It lives in us, and our imprint in theirs. And the abuse that happens to one does happen to all. We are injured. And yes, there are people way more victimized than just our experience of their victimization, right?
Yes.
But it lives in us. And for some of us, it is us. And it's real. It's so sad, the amount of abuse that women have suffered and the sexual violations and how rampant it is. And also all humans have suffered. Yeah.
And I think, again, what comes up for me is sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough. And I know that I'm doing all that I can.
Yeah.
And even more than I can at times.
Right.
When my body's like, please rest. Please rest.
Right. It's so hard not to, it's so hard to not want to save and rescue and keep going. It's just so hard. There's your impulse when we allow ourselves to feel what people experience that we're helping. It makes it harder on us to not take care of ourselves, right? Or easier not to take care of ourselves. However, I might say that. It's tricky because we feel it and then it becomes part of us. And so we urge, we yearn, we crave to heal it. And yet that split second of choice to feel and allow yourself to be permeated in the vulnerability of others' pain and to not off-gas it with an urge to go fix it or keep running or keep doing or keep going, but to actually stop and feel it is the deepest humanization of lives we can do. It is such respect. It is the respect for self and other. And to know that is part of the mission to feel first, pause, and to not just chase answers and solutions and giving, but to pause first so that where we give from can be the most effective giving possible.
So glad we're recording this so I can play it for myself and remember.
Yeah. 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 It's uncomfortable. It's an immense privilege to know that we are not suffering and someone else is, and to know that we have more resource, more health, more vitality than the person we're helping, which sometimes we do, right? And to feel somehow so guilty and so tortured to not just give it all to them, because how dare they be this injured and not receive everything and more times a million? Why wouldn't we give our bodies and souls to them? Of course we want to. Of course we want to. And yet if we abuse ourselves on behalf of their healing, and I started here, right? I can only imagine, I don't really know, right? But this is what I sense. If we keep abusing ourselves on behalf of others' healings, then we're injured and they live with our injury because now we've hurt ourselves to help them. And if we do that to a big enough degree, I think it blocks all the healing from its effectiveness. And not that there aren't moments. There have been moments in my life, it was my job to give more than I had. And I did, and it was right. I didn't have it, and I did it anyway. But those are different moments than living a pervasive sense of overgiving, overdoing.
Yes.
Right? That's a different moment. We want to save when it's time to save. And we want the resource in us to be there. so that when we need it, we've got it.
Oh.
And it's more painful to stop and feel than it is to burn ourselves out.
Yes.
It's freaking more painful in the moment. Maybe not more painful in the bigger picture, but it's definitely more painful in the moment to stop ourselves and just say, whoa, this is more than I have to give to, and someone will keep suffering. And I have to let go on behalf of integrity and health, and on behalf of knowing that I need more, I need resource to keep giving. And to not kill myself, knock myself off the planet, injure myself. Yeah, huge.
It's a hard huge awakening, and also a huge practice.
It's a practice. Exactly.
When you said to feel, it seems so simple, but it's so...
It's not simple. It's so painful. We can be up. I've had myself up till 4 a.m. trying not to feel, honestly, like laying there trying not to just fall apart into the abyss of pain and spinning in anxiety instead, or worry or needless thinking, you know, and until I could finally find the okay, all I really need to do is stop and let this move through me. And let my nervous system receive that I'm so sad at the suffering. I'm just so sad that it's real, that it hurts that much, that my beloved people who I fall in love with, every client, you know, it's like every person I know, I'm like, how? Why? I don't want you to suffer. Whoa.
I think the reason I've been putting off this podcast or this recording or this session with you is because I knew that, you were going to have me just feel. As a matter of fact, this morning I was like, I need to call Gabrielli. I actually didn't sleep well. I think I'm going to put this off another day.
That's so funny, because I had a moment of thinking, should I text Angélica and let her know she doesn't have to do it if she doesn't want? I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? She'll let me know. They'll let me know. They'll let me know. Oh my goodness. Oh. Thank you for I feel like I really just cherish you. I just so deeply honor everything about you.
This is such hard work as an empath, as someone who feels so deeply for people. It's like, it's so painful. And at the same time, just like what you said, is if I can't feel, and if in the name of helping or healing, that I'm actually abusing myself and I'm hurting myself and I'm not taking care of myself, then it's in vain.
Yeah. And those other people may never consciously know you did that, but there's so much guilt on every side of this dance. And that guilt is like an indoctrination we walk around with. There's so much guilt for the people who need and who are taking from us. And then if we go hurt ourselves, whether they know it or not, they know it somewhere inside. And then they have guilt. And then we have guilt because we can't give enough. And it's like this trap that blocks us from just the beingness of human. And the combining of our souls and spirits and bodies. And the willingness to know it's an endless dance that I just so have a vision. I want everyone who helps others to have an opportunity to know what it feels like to do that and be well. And to reach in and hold each other's hands and to have the support we need to be able to decompress this and sometimes we can't feel it by ourselves. It's just too much. And we need another to hold it with us so it feels safer to let go, right?
Yeah.
I can't always get to it by myself. Sometimes I need the space and attention and care to know I won't get lost, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so when I'm inclined to do the activate, healer, release victim, and release what's not yours, but on behalf of you feeling, not on behalf of chasing it away, not to distort this tool. When we, as empaths, release what's not ours, what's not required or generative, it is so that we can be in the vulnerable dance of being ourselves and have capacity to listen for the soul speak mission choices, decisions, where we discern from, not to just make ourselves feel better by throwing it away, right?
Yes.
Would that be generative for you if I do that activation?
Yes. And can I just share a quick story before you do that?
Please. Doesn't have to be quick.
What came up for me in this story, when I realized it, when my mom told this story to me, it was just like, wow, it was so illuminating in so many ways. And she said, when I was a baby, when I was born, she said that, they used to call me sunshine because I was this ball of energy, this light. And she said, and the neighbors in the Philippines where I was used to, this was her words, used to fight over me. She said they would wait till I woke up and they said, is she awake? Because we want, can we have her? And so she said that she was like, as a baby, I never saw you because the neighbors to the right, as soon as you woke up would want you. And then the neighbors to the left would say, wait, they had her yesterday. It's our turn. So she said, I would literally pass you around the neighborhood because people wanted you. And she said, and they would bring you back as you're right and you needed to be changed and you're hungry. But she said, but that was, what happened when you were a baby. And although it was, tickled me in such a deep way, I was like, wow. And it touched me and moved me. And what I also, realized from that story, it brought me a lot of joy to know that as a baby, I was already an energy healer, right? As I'm coming into my knowing of energy and of healing, but also the part that sat with me was, even before I can speak and, that I was being kind of expected or like to show up for people, even before myself, right? Like that I was like kind of on, I'm, and so I think there's this deep kind of, like purpose that I feel about that, but also makes it challenging for me sometimes to say no to people when I'm invited to places because I'm like, wait, how can I, like say no when I know that memorial service that I can go and bring so much light. And then my body's like, no, I need to stay home and cry and feel. So there's that kind of knowing that it's really challenging.
That's such an important story. It is such an important story. We think that between conception and maybe around 9, we really are operating in our survival brains. That is like where the most orientation of life is coming from, is in the survival structure, which means built into your very immediate survival structure was this pattern that we're looking at today to ask, can we do it differently? The pattern to be a helper to others before even knowing yourself. We don't know. Maybe that version of your baby wanted to stay home in your mother's arms. We don't know, right?
Yes.
We don't know what needs got missed because you kept giving out. And maybe it was perfect. Maybe it wasn't. Something's in here, right? That now is confusing you in your capacity to, no wonder you have so much fear about getting bigger. Like if you get bigger and have to do more of this, you will obliterate. It's like you can't really afford to unconsciously just grow and keep giving, and So, so powerful that we are bringing this to consciousness and into the parts of the brain that can begin to negotiate the inner child and the structures that were built immediately into who you are, and to ask how to rebuild them. To meet now.
I see that showing up in so many ways.
It's huge. This is just huge. So thank you for stopping me from going into the activation, because this feels incredible. There's so much healing in what you're saying, and importance for us to just rest here for a minute. When you talk inner child, you talk inner in utero. You talk the second you were born. So we're talking newborn. We're talking infant. The inner newborn in you, who is saturated in so much joy and light. It satisfies the craving of so many people who just wanted to be held in that light. And already sacrificed needs that we can't even understand you might have had. Mm. So the urge to keep giving will be very primal, maybe forever for you. And to know how to feel that conditioning as conditioning, and to be able to say that primal urge may always be here. Okay. No matter how big or small I am, it's probably going to exist in me. And our navigation is to bring that consciousness we can, that like the prefrontal cortex and our pituitary senses and our knowing, and that muscle of the rest of us in to reparent this Angélica today, to reform and renegotiate the urge of self and others to both give and to be taken from is here. People are going to want that from you. Oh, okay. Now what? What does today look like? And activate change and generate healing immediately. Powerful.
Wow.
Yeah, we're coming into the last, minutes of this session. So I want to take a moment and really feel with you how I can be helpful in holding you as you, and you will continue to integrate, but as you feel this process today.
I'm just feeling such deep gratitude for you, Gabrielli, for this work.
Thank you.
This work is so powerful and just needed. And when I think about healing the healers,
Right.
I know that's my calling, to heal the healers. And the reason I haven't really, not that I'm in it, it's not like I'm not doing the work, but you spoke to being called to this bigger work, and there's so much fear because you spoke on it. Like, there's so much fear about, like, and I wasn't clear what it was, but there's just something about being exposed. And when you said, yes, it makes so much sense that you used the word obliterate, and it just resonated with me because it's like, that's how it feels.
Right, because not only do you just come with all this light that you have now either been indoctrinated and or just soul speak born to give, both are true, right?
Yes.
But you also come with knowing that if you shine that as bright as you can, everybody's going to take as much as they can from you. And maybe even want more than you have. And so this patterning in the midst of everything else we talked about, and the, to meet, of course you would be terrified. We can't afford to obliterate you. We can't. We don't need to do that to you. You're precious. And this is a deep karmic learning. This is not a happen chance that this is the lesson you're on today. And that you will model as you step into your even more expansive healer self, that you'll model for those who need the same teachings and the medicine and the discernment and the health. We get to be healthy, as healthy as we can be. We might not be perfect, right? We're always a little not healthy, but we get to choose that and believe in that and show up for that.
Healthy.
Yeah. Your vitality is critical to your mission. And we're going to
my
invoke
birthright.
Exactly. We're going to invoke and can't proclaim and pronounce that your body's needs, that when you take care of those needs, when you discern and listen, that you are on mission and purpose to give, to heal, and to be present for others. That you are now part of the same story you would tell me to do this. That you're now including yourself in what you want for humanity, which is more health and vitality for all of us. Helpers and healers that can stay in it longer and not burn out and obliterate ourselves before we even finish our missions. And not leaving the burden and guilt of those we're helping to take care of us by not taking what they need, by not themselves feeling willing to receive what they're given, that they don't need the guilt of hurting us too, right? Like we know none of us need this. So let's clear all the grids and constructs that suggest that somehow the guilt and the grief gets to block us from changing the way we show up and from including you as the healer of all healers in the center of it all and living that, not in some selfish, grandiose either or way, but in balance and integrity and in restoration. And in flow in and out of that balance, we fall on either side. We take too much, we give too much, that's okay. And we invoke and can proclaim and pronounce that your primal brain can know that this is the safest way for you to exist and even the safest way to give and for those to receive from you. And activate change and generate healing immediately. Activating the divinity in your cells and particles, that it does not need to make you delusional just because you have a lot of connection to your spirit. You can be so plugged in, vibrating, thriving, emanating, and still receive your care as a body. And activate change and generate healing immediately. Wow. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much.
Wow.
Immense gratitude for you, Gabrielli, for infinity healing, for the LaChiara method. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Which I am so grateful to have learned. And what a calling today is to practice, to continue to practice this, how important it is in the work that I'm being called to do, that this be part of every moment.
Wow.
I'm going to play this podcast for myself every morning before I start my day.
It's perfect. It's so perfect. It's a retrainment. It is. I love it. You can entrain something new into your system and keep hearing it and talk about parenting yourself with it, right? Yes. Mothering yourself. Like, oh, right, I need to hear that voice of wisdom. And as you know, anything we say in here that doesn't resonate later, you just delete that part. You know, this is yours to learn from and listen to and be in. And I trust you so deeply with your mission on every level, just in being you. And I really appreciate and admire you. And wow, thank you for blessing me with your journey.
Much.
I love you too. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, this session has filled my heart to the brim. Thank you, dearest Angélica, for sharing yourself so openly and fully. Thank you for the amazing work that you do in the world. It's just so freaking important. And thank you for sharing that powerful process and healing journey with us. I have a feeling that so many of you listening could relate to a lot of that, especially if you work in the social justice sphere, other helping professions, or are a parent or caregiver. I know for myself, it's like some of the most important pieces to look at and how we hold ourselves as we care for others and as we face all the shit that's going on in the world. There really is just so much suffering in this world, and it can be hard to be with and hold the truth of that and allow ourselves to truly feel it. Thank you for feeling it, Angélica. What courage and strength it can take to stop and really allow the grief and emotions to flow. As I sit with this session, I really feel that it stands for itself, and so I won't say too much. But I wanted to speak to how Angélica articulates and even shows us how important it is to stop, pause, reflect, and feel, in her case, the grief under the surface. This ability to feel and be witnessed can often uncover powerful awarenesses and tender, vulnerable realities that we're sitting on. As I was listening, I wrote down some key points that felt really poignant that I thought could be helpful to share. So I'm just going to go through the list here with you for you to reflect, for you to feel into for yourself. 1, how do you hold boundaries in the midst of it all? And how do you discern what's needed and catch yourself from going into the either or of abandoning yourself for the mission and or other people, or abandoning the mission and relationships for yourself? And what's the balance there? 2, we are both a body and a spiritual being, and energy can emanate long before and after us. 3, physical bodies have limitations and can maybe never be quote unquote enough, and that's okay to know. 4, when we have a calling to show up for our mission in the world, the showing up big and fully embodied in our essence can be really freaking scary and can confuse us or drain us if we lose ourselves to that fear. 5, it's very difficult to love as deeply as one like Angélica does and not flip the switch into wanting to save and rescue people or do so much that we hit serious burnout. 6, humanizing others includes humanizing ourselves. It's not healthy or required for us to dehumanize or diminish our own life force, or gifts. 7, if we abuse ourselves on behalf of others, that can leave unconscious injury just sitting there waiting to take hold. Most people would not want us to do that to ourselves on behalf of their healing or needs. 8, sometimes stopping ourselves from burnout feels painful because it exposes the grief we have underneath. Feeling that grief can be so important so it doesn't drive our life force in ways that are self-destructive. As I read these, it just reiterates to me how much depth that session went into. Each one of those nuggets could be literally a whole year or a lifetime of healing and reflection. But I wanted to just bring them to the surface so that you could really feel into them and feel into which ones stir and resonate with you most. And maybe that's a little nugget for you to take home and take some steps in your healing around that right now in your life. So with that, I will let you go to bask in the magic and power of that session. Saying a huge thank you to Ali Halpert, the incredible musician and songwriter behind the songs featured in this podcast. We've had the privilege of singing some of Ali's powerful songs during our retreats and workshops, which have been such a meaningful and healing addition to our groups. To hear more of Ali's music and learn more, visit Ali's website at alihalpert.com. You can find the link in our show notes.